Hello friends, welcome to the Cup Night channel. This is my cardinal video and I am grateful to have you here to experience this moment. My plan for this channel is to follow the moon as it moves through the western tropical zodiac signs. I'll be uploading a new reading on the first day the moon enters a new sign starting now. That being said, the moon has entered Scorpio as of 12:18 a.m. UTC, February 18th, 2025. Now where I am, it is still February 17th, but if you adjust that UTC time, for me, that means it is still February 17th. So, kind of weird, huh? But that's how time works. So, I will be performing an intuitive tarot reading using a spread technique that I have created. It will be using the astrological houses to give a lens of interpretation to the cards that I pull. The part that I believe I have come up with, maybe other people have used it before, but not that I'm aware of, is just the structure in which I interpret the cards. But instead of trying to explain the whole process, let's just get right into it. So we'll return the Knight of Cups there, and we'll just give a little bit of a shuffle and be on our way. Alright, so the first card I'll draw here will be for the first house. We've got the Ace of Cups. Beautiful. And then the second house, we'll draw two cards. So we'll start with the Three of Cups and the Eight of Swords. I always get kind of jittery whenever I see some of these swords cards coming out. But it's okay. Challenges are not always a bad thing. It's how we grow. For the third house, we'll draw three cards. So we've got the Six of Pentacles. Beautiful sharing energy. We've got the Two of Swords. Maybe some tough decisions or things we're not acknowledging going on. And then we've got the Emperor, the Divine Masculine card. Beautiful. Okay. And underneath all of this, we have the Two of Cups. Look at that. Partnership, communion, lovey-dovey, you know, all the feels. All right, so let's take a look at this Ace of Cups in the first house. To give you the lens, the first house is all about yourself. It's about self-expression, how you perceive yourself and approach life. Has to do with new beginnings, initiatives, self-awareness. It's related to the head and the face, the brain, the hair, the skin, your whole body. Yeah, it's also tied to the ascendant or rising sign on your birth chart. So you might want to take a look and see what yours is if you're curious. Now, the Ace of Cups is in kind of like an overflowing card. In this depiction, you can see that we've got this koi fish kind of like circling the energy above the cup here, and then the cup is running over and filled all the way to the brim. This, you know, it's a really good thing. It's fulfillment. It's more than enough. It is feeling really good. So in this time of the moon in Scorpio, maybe your self-expression is perceived to be very, inviting to other people, very emotionally stable. Maybe you feel that way about yourself right now too. So that is a very good thing going on right now. Make sure to take advantage of that energy. In the second house, we have the Three of Cups and the Eight of Swords. So the Three of Cups is a celebration card. You can see these otters, they're all happily swimming together. You've got this beautiful flower in the middle of them. They look like they're just enjoying life. It is a party. And on the other hand, the Eight of Swords, you can see here we've got this bird who's blindfolded. Looks like maybe he's crying out. Maybe it's caught in this netting here. There's some fruit that is there beside it, but it can't really tell. It's not really grabbing for it. It's more seems to be more concerned that it's caught within this net here and it can't get free. If only it could see, there was something good right here, right beside it. So this is an interesting combination. Maybe there is something to be celebrated here, but also something that is taking over our mind with worry. This is happening in the second house, of course, which is the house of possessions. It's related to the sign of Taurus, the planet Venus. It's all about material resources, values, self-worth, finances. It's tied to the sensual pleasures, the five senses. It is how we value all things in our life. So this could be saying that maybe there is a reason to celebrate all of the things that are currently in our lives with, the people that are in our lives, because when you celebrate, you're not generally celebrating by yourself. Typically, you'd want to share that celebration with the people you love. And then the Eight of Swords is kind of that, like, it's a loop, right? Because swords are all about the mental games we play. And the 8 is kind of representative of the infinity symbol. So you could imagine like a mental loop just kind of back and forth and back and forth, and how can I get free of this energy that's trapping me, that kind of thing. This could also be pointing to maybe the thing that needs to be done is just have a good time. Let your worries go surrounding your material resources, your finances, your self-worth, and just enjoy life with the people that are in it. All right, so moving on to the third house, we've got a couple things going on here. So we have the Six of Pentacles, which is all about sharing resources, sharing the wealth. The Two of Swords, which could be about being blind to something, to a decision that has to be made, or not willing to involve yourself in a decision that you probably are a part of. If you just pull your head out of the sand and take a look around, maybe there's a third option aside from the two. You see this little crossing back here that are available to you. Maybe there's something else you could discuss with someone and find an option you weren't aware of. And then the Emperor is the divine masculine representation. It's an Aries energy, very fiery. He kind of has it all going on. He has all the resources, all the know-how, all the people to make it happen he's in touch with. So that is a very powerful energy presiding over this third house. So we'll break these down one by one. But first, let me say the third house is the house of communication, which this one kind of stands out to me given that theme. You can't really communicate very well if you got your head in the sand. The other things that third house deals with is your thinking, processing, your You're learning, interacting with your immediate environment, things that are close to you. It's tied to intellectual engagement, expression, relationships in your close surroundings. It's how we process and share information. So look at this, the card of sharing, how appropriate. This is like kind of you can see he's got a little scale in his hand, kind of a call to the Justice Major Arcana card. But, you know, it seems that maybe this mouse is the one who has all the resources, but he's gladly sharing it with this other mouse. So you can imagine that at times in your life, you know, maybe you're the one with all the resources and you have the ability to share with others. And at other times in your life, you're the one who needs some love from someone else who has it all. So we can find ourselves in both of these roles. But given that this is showing up in the third house of communication, it could be that it's referencing maybe sharing some knowledge that you have with people that are close to you, people in your life. And that could have something to do with this, you know. You can't really share information with your head buried in the ground, so maybe it's time to pull your head up and spread the love. And this Emperor card is kind of, you know, I'm kind of seeing this as tying these two things together, seeing it as, you know, be confident about what you have to share. You know, maybe it's a lack of confidence that's leading to this type of energy here where you're just not wanting to engage, but just know that you have all the power you need and all of the materials you need. And even if you're not the one with the materials, you are all that you need to be in order to receive the help that you need. So just keep that in mind as you're going through these next 2 days with the moon in Scorpio, these energies kind of surrounding that lens of communication about, you know, being willing to share or receive even things that you either have or that you need. All right, so that covers the first 3 houses. We're going to move on and recycle these bottom 2 houses. Now I am going to hold on to this cardinal, this first house energy, because we're going to come back to it after we've made it through all of the houses and kind of give a general overall theme with that energy. So I'll just put it over here in the corner for now. The rest of these, I will reshuffle the deck and we'll get right on it. Something I forgot to mention about those first 3 houses, they're part of one of 4 quadrants. So the first 3 houses are the first quadrant. That has to do, it kind of covers all the themes given for the first, second, third house. So first house, the house of self; second house, the house of possessions; third house, the house of communication. So the first quadrant is all about self-discovery, personal development, your individuality. It's the most subjective and personal quadrant. The private things, self-focused. It's the developmental stages of something. So this next set of 30 set of houses is houses 4, 5, and 6. They're considered to be quadrant 2, and it's all about close relationships, creativity, and daily routines in your life. It's kind of personal growth through connection and self-expression in practical and emotional ways, bridging personal identity with interpersonal connections in a grounded way. So that being said, let's get into these second quadrant houses. We'll start with house number 4. We've got the 8 of Cups, moving on to something better. Love to see it. All right, we've got house 5. We'll draw 2 cards for this one. 10 of Cups. loving fulfillment. And we've got the Five of Cups. Ooh, look at that. Kind of got like got a 10 and a 5, so you got half here of the same suit. That's interesting. And we've got all Cups cards so far. That's fun. Lots of emotional energy here. And then for the 6th house, we'll draw 3 cards. So we've got the Hermit. We've got the World. And we've got the 10 of Wands. All right. And underneath all of this, we have the Page of Swords. Okay, so starting off, we'll start with the 4th house. This house is the house of home. It is associated with Cancer and the moon. It is all about family, roots, emotional foundations. It is tied to the private aspects of life. It's associated with the Imam Celi, I think that's how you say it, the IC. It means bottom of the sky in Latin. It's the bottommost portion of your birth chart or of the astrological chart. So you can think of it as like, it is literally the foundation of the chart. It's on the very bottom. Opposite that, you have the midheaven, which would be the 10th house, the house of career, a public house, whereas this one is a private house. It's things that are close to you. The other side would be things that are public and more worldly involved. So anyway, this card for the 4th house, being a cup card also, there's lots of emotional themes here, and you can kind of see that this person is completely naked. She's kind of left this cup here. It's just kind of spilling back into the water, and she doesn't really seem too worried about it. She seems pretty self-assured. She's kind of like moving on. Kind of gives me like a hot spring vibe. It looks very cozy, and you can see there's a little seal out here just kind of chilling as well. There's another one right beside her, so she's not alone, and she's kind of just moving on. She's left these things behind. She doesn't really seem too concerned about it, and she knows there's other better things out there, and she seems very self-assured and confident about her decision. So that is a very heartwarming energy for especially the 4th house of home. So yeah, I mean, work with those feelings during this time. There may be some things there that you can let go and move on to better things in your life. Moving on to the 5th house, we've got the 10 of Cups and the 5 of Cups. Very interesting pairing. More emotional energy. The 5th house is the house of pleasure. It's associated with Leo and the Sun. So creativity, joy, romance, self-expression, fulfillment. It's tied to the early stages of love. It's how one shines their light in the world. So this is interesting because the 10 of Cups is kind of like, you can see these 2 seahorses that are wrapped around each other. They've got these little baby seahorses with them. They're stable, attach themselves to this underwater plant here. They're not really going anywhere. They're just content, and everything's feeling really good. It's like a completion card. The 10s are always the end of a cycle, which implies the beginning of something new. And, the beginning here is a very happy beginning. Now, juxtaposed to that is this 5 of Cups. You can see it's kind of a sad card, especially, just first looking at it. She is in the nude and crying and just feeling very vulnerable. She's got her legs crossed, kind of closed off, and just looking defeated with her posture. She's got these broken eggs down here, 2 of them, and you would assume that's maybe what she's sad over, but there's 3 over here that are just fine. So this card is kind of a complex emotional card. It's like, maybe there are bad things in your life, but there's also good things, and maybe the good outweighs the bad, and you just haven't realized it yet. Maybe you haven't quite got through that period of processing that emotional grief. So given those themes of this card and having them in the 5th house of pleasure and creativity and joy and romance. It's interesting. Maybe both of these energies are at work here. Maybe something has happened, or something might happen during this time where it feels like too much. Like you don't know how to process it, and even though there are good things in your life, you just have to feel those feelings, and maybe that expression of those feelings, given that this is the fifth house of all about self-expression and creativity, can find its fulfillment, by being expressed. So maybe during this time, just be wary of something that might seem like it's really difficult or hard to experience, but how can you turn that difficult or hard experience into something fulfilling and wonderful and teeming with life? All right, and then moving on to the sixth house, we have a lot of fun cards here. So we've got two major arcana, the Hermit and the World, and then we have this Ten of Wands card, another 10 card. The sixth house is the house of health and service, associated with Virgo and the planet Mercury. It's all about daily routines, work, your health, discipline, self-discipline. It's also associated with pets and small animals, or caring for those who depend on us. It's how we care for ourselves and others in our life, and how we overcome challenges. So having the Hermit here, that suggests kind of some solitude, some hermit energy, really just kind of focusing on yourself, maybe taking the time that is necessary to just kind of rehabilitate yourself. And this World card, it's the last major arcana before it goes, the major arcana resets at the full. So this World card is, maybe this is the ending of a period of rest and relaxation that was sorely needed. And I'm kind of getting that energy from this Ten of Wands too. That's kind of like too many things to do. You can see he's got all this stuff strapped on his back, and he's kind of sad and looks worn out, and maybe he just needs a break. Maybe he just kind of want to get to where he's going and put this heavy load down. Having the World in between these two cards, to me, maybe it's just suggesting that you had maybe you had a lot going on, and now is a good time to just kind of put all that stuff down and relax, and just experience the world as it is. Just let things be what they are, and don't stress about it. Seems like this is a card of completion, even though it seems like it might be a dramatic one, or not dramatic, but one that you probably wouldn't like experiencing. You wouldn't want to feel tired and worn out and like you've been overworked, right? But yeah, I think the message here is that it's important to realize how much is on your plate. Take that time to really take care of yourself. Look within yourself, and do things that bring you joy and restore your sense of self, so that you can experience the world again, so that you can start the next cycle. All right, so that was wonderful. Now, I didn't talk about this on the first quadrant, but this card on the bottom here, the Page of Swords, this is, a youthful energy, an intellectual, youthful energy. You got the swords. You can see that this bird here, he's holding a message, and he's kind of like directed, he's like sending this message somewhere. Like you can see this wind energy is very dynamic. Maybe it's going somewhere. So maybe there is a message either coming to you or coming from you, from those close in your life, because the second quadrant is all about your close relationships, creativity, your routines, things like that. So yeah, you might have some news coming in, or maybe you're sharing some important news with someone during these next few days while the moon is in Scorpio. Okay, so we'll hold on to this Eight of Cups to represent the cardinal energy of Cancer here. I'll set it aside with this cardinal energy of Aries, first house, fourth house. So put those over there. And we'll recycle these energies for the next set. Okay, so we are moving on to quadrant 3, which is all about external relationships, relationships that you choose. So whereas, the first two quadrants, or the second quadrant, sorry, was all about relationships that you're kind of like brought into this world with your family or the people who took care of you while you were growing up. You didn't really choose them, they were just kind of there. Whereas quadrant 3 is all about the relationships that you have chosen yourself in your life. It's also about interactions with others, expanding your understanding of the world through shared experiences with others. It's about transformation, higher learning, collective interaction and understanding. So we'll start with the 7th house, one card, Page of Cups. Okay, and then we've got the 8th house, 2 cards. We've got the 3 of Wands and the 3 of Swords, double threes there. And then the 9th house, we've got the 7 of Cups, the 4 of Wands, and the Ace of Swords. All right, and underneath it all, we have the 6 of Wands. Very stable action. You can see he's perched, ready to go. He is wide awake. He's aware, and he's about to do something. These iguanas, they've got those crazy tongues where they'll just be watching a fly, and then all of a sudden just grab it, and they're crazy. So potentiality here. Let's start with house 7. That is the house of relationships. It's associated with Libra and Venus, the planet Venus. It's all about partnerships, commitments, interactions with others, your open enemies, so enemies that are known to you and others in the world. It's tied to the descendant on a astrological birth chart. So that is our approach to commitment to others, the ways in which we commit ourselves to others. It's a very interesting thing to think about. So yeah, the Page of Cups. This is, once again, that youthful kind of incoming message or outgoing message energy. In this case, it is a very emotional, spiritual energy. This cup is being offered to someone. It could be you, it could be you offering it to someone in your life, but given that this is the house of relationships, I think both of those scenarios are very likely. So once again, I would be on the lookout for some kind of message. This message may even tied to that Page of Swords card we had on the bottom for the last quadrant we did. So yeah, pay attention to your relationships, or maybe things that you want to tell other people. And it doesn't even have to be like, a significant other. It could be somebody you're in business with, or a neighbor, or, just any other person in your life. And in this case, I would say maybe it's somebody that you have chosen to have a relationship, since this is in the 7th house. So maybe not a family that has always been there in your life, but somebody that has entered through a partnership or friendship of your choosing. All right, so now let's look at the 8th house. This house is a really interesting house. It's the house of transformation, of death and rebirth. It is associated with Scorpio, and that is the sign the moon is in currently, so I would pay extra special attention to this part right here. And the associated planet is Pluto. It used to be Mars in traditional astrology, but in modern astrology it has been deemed Pluto. So this house is all about, like I said, death, rebirth, intimacy, shared resources, the mysteries of life. It's tied to challenges in life, how we let go of old things to embrace new things in our lives. It's about confronting fears, traumas, and repressed emotions. So yeah, very, very mysterious house. Here we have the 3 of Wands, which is kind of just surveying the available options for actions. The wands represent potential actions. You can see here they're behind this guy. He's got his binoculars. He's been surveying the land from afar, just kind of deciding what will he do next. What's the next step? And then you have this 3 of Swords card. This one is the heartbreak card. You can see we've got this beautiful bird here just completely slain by these arrows, and lots of pain. Yeah, and that really goes with the theme of this house, the house of death and rebirth, transformation. So yeah, I think maybe this could speak to something transformative that might happen during this time of the moon traversing Scorpio. So maybe keep an eye out for something, and it doesn't have to be a big life event. It could just be something that makes you feel like an ending has occurred, or you're going through a transformation of some kind, and you might just want to be aware of things you can do in this situation. Like how can you approach this transformation? What can you do through this situation? What can be done after you've gone through it? Or maybe just make some plans, do some planning around anything you might be experiencing right now. All right, I think that's all there is to be said about those two. Let's move on to the 9th house. We've got the 7 of Cups, the 4 of Wands, and the Ace of Swords. So let me tell you about the 9th house. It is the house of philosophy and higher learning, associated with Sagittarius and Jupiter. It's about expansion, intellectual pursuits. It's about long distance travel, or like spiritual pilgrimages, those kinds of traveling. A quest for meaning. It is tied to broadening your horizons. It's how we search for truth and meaning. So given that, these are interesting. You've got the 7 of Cups, which is like options, right? It is, there's all these things that are available to you, different ways of experiencing your feelings, or maybe even things in, like, physical things in your life that impart some kind of emotion in you whenever you experience them. Maybe there's a decision to be made that could have an effect on your emotions or your spiritual life. The Four of Wands is, it's that potential action again with the wands, but it's stable. You can see this guy has built him this kind of little altar, right here, and he's very content with it. But he's a frog. He's got all this potential energy stored in his legs, ready to leap at a moment's notice. So he's very stable, ready to go, just waiting for some action. And then you have this Ace of Swords, which is, it's I would say intellectual certainty, or something that is, like cutting through to the point. It is focused. Ace is one, so you've got this one sword, and it is upright. He's very proud and confident looking. He's, making his rooster call on top of this like little ledge here that he's standing on. He's ready to go also. These two cards they pair well together. So maybe there's some decisions to be made about something meaningful in your life. And maybe you have that initiative that you need and the knowledge. Swords are all about mental energy. So maybe you have that drive and the knowledge in order to make that decision that could bring you emotional fulfillment in that meaning, whatever it may be for you. Something to be aware of during this time as well. All right, so that wraps up quadrant 3. We will keep the Page of Cups here to represent quadrant 3, and quadrant 3 encompasses houses 7, 8, and 9. It is all about external relationships, the ones that you choose in your life, interactions, partnerships, expanding understanding of the world through shared experiences, transformation, higher learning, collective interaction, and understanding. So given all that, having this, Page of Cups, this either incoming or outgoing message, you either have something really good to share with other people in your life, or the other people in your life have something to share with you. It might not be somebody you don't even know yet, but just keep your eye out for something incoming. All right, so we'll tuck that away over there. And we'll do the final set of houses, which is going to be quadrant 4. This house is all about it's kind of about endings, culminations, maturity, self-actualization, collective contributions, applying your experience to create a meaningful impact on the world, the final stage of development. It's moving beyond the individual and your personal or relational concerns to focus on collective well-being and spiritual fulfillment. So it's a very heavy quadrant. Lots of big worldly energy, things happening at large, future, spiritual concepts, collective spiritual concepts, and even personal spiritual concepts from the 12th house anyway. Career, things like that. So that being said, let's pull some cards. For the 10th house, we'll do 1, and we've got the Devil. Oh, all right, this card's interesting. It can have many different meanings depending on the context, so we'll dive deeper into that. 2 cards for 11. We've got the 6 of Swords and the 3 of Pentacles, teamwork. So moving on in teamwork. That's interesting. All right, so and then house 12, we'll draw 3 cards. We've got the King of Swords. We've got the Knight of Pentacles. And we've got the 10 of Wands again. This one's coming up again. All right. Okay, and then underneath it all, we have the 8 of Pentacles. So this is, steady work. It is like, you got that loop going, that infinity symbol, right? And you're just working away, happy, steady, content, to build something lasting, something material, something, tangible in your life. So I love to see that card. Okay, so we'll start here with the Devil. This is, House 10, the house of career and public image. It's related to Capricorn and the planet Saturn. It's all about professional ambitions, social status, reputation, legacy. It is connected to the midheaven, which is, all about career or your life's work. It is how one is perceived in the public sphere. So this is interesting. I think there's many different ways you can interpret this. Some ways of interpreting it would be like a person who's bound up by something. They're being restricted. And it's kind of funny that this popped up in the 10th house because it is Capricorn energy. Like the Devil is Capricorn energy. Goat symbology associated with the Devil. And Saturn is all about, it's the planet of restrictions and, boundaries. So the theme is on point here for the house placement. So it could be pointing to, less about like being bound up by something in like a detrimental way, but, kind of a stability, like a necessary leaning on structures that exist in order, because things can't exist without some sort of structure to keep them in place, right? And that's what Saturn's all about. It's kind of like you can't manifest something if there's not a structure for it to manifest into, a form for it to manifest into. And that's kind of intuitively what I'm getting from this card here. So yeah, it seems like maybe during this time there's a lot of structural energy assisting in forming something, in bringing something about, especially as it comes to your career or public image. All right, and then for the 11th house, this is the house of friendship and aspirations. It's all about the future. It's related to Aquarius and the planet Uranus. Traditionally, Saturn was also the ruler of this house, but in modern astrology, it has been updated to Uranus. So house 11 is all about social connections, group dynamics, long-term goals, collective efforts. It's also tied to gains and rewards. It used to be called the Bona Fortuna, which means good fortune in traditional astrology. This house is how we realize our dreams through shared efforts. So the Six of Swords is interesting. It's kind of like a forward-looking card. It's about leaving things behind, sailing on to the future. What comes next. You can see these two creatures have all of their stuff packed up on the back of the swan, and the swan is kind of protecting them and sailing them away from this burning building back here. They look, relieved and hopeful. The swan does too. So they're moving on to something better. Maybe there was, much thought about this move too. The swords are all about mental energy, so maybe not an easy decision, but one that was made and is happening. So yeah, this card kind of encapsulates House 11 in a lot of ways, since it has to do with moving towards the future. And, maybe not going by yourself into the future. You can see these two together here, and really three of them together. And then this card speaks to teamwork, which once again, you've got three creatures here on this card, same as you do here. And Three of Pentacles is all about working together to bring something forward. This, once again, very much speaks to the 11th house. It's, about friendships, aspirations, social connections, group dynamics, so collective efforts. So bees, they're a very social species. They are always working together to please the queen and take care of the hive, to manifest that, to keep the hive alive. So that's, yeah, I like these cards for this position. And maybe there's a lot of moving forward and teamwork energy around this time. All right, and then the 12th house, the final house, we've got the King of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles, and the Ten of Wands. So the 12th house is the house of the subconscious. It's related to Pisces and the planet Neptune. Traditionally, it was ruled by Jupiter, so it has an association there too. It's all about spirituality, hidden aspects of life, endings, introspection, transcendence. It is associated with the unseen, with dreams, karma, subconscious. It is how we surrender, accept, and release. It also is related to loss, sorrow, hidden enemies, maybe enemies that you're not aware of, or the world at large is not aware of, at least. Solitude and inner peace. Okay, so let's talk about these one at a time. So we got the King of Swords. He is, sharp. He is ready to go. He knows what he knows, and he knows how to use it, right? You can see he's kind of looking through the sword here, so it implies kind of like a great wisdom, even beyond intelligence. Yeah, that's a fantastic energy to have in the most, spiritual subconscious house. It's pretty interesting. Maybe it's kind of reflecting a deep knowing of spiritual concepts at this time, or things that are not easily perceived at this time. Maybe there's a deep clarity to them. And then the Knight of Pentacles is, it's the knight that's not really moving. You can see he's on a tortoise here, giant tortoise, and not really going anywhere. They're kind of just sitting there. There's not really any dynamic movement to this card. There's even a bird just kind of like whistling on top of this knight's head here. So they're just chilling. They're just taking their time, and they're making progress, but it's very slow, and it's a concentrated effort. And then we have the Ten of Wands, which, we've seen this one before. Like I said, it's kind of like overburdened kind of energy. It is an ending, so it's kind of like we're almost there, but the weight on my back is so heavy, and it's hurting, and I'm just ready to put it down. He's looks very weary and just ready for some rest. So, given these cards together, maybe it's been kind of a long journey, like a long spiritual journey, or a long journey of things that maybe have not been so clear, and it's felt very heavy. But now during this time, maybe there's a lot of clarity coming in, and it's that burden. It's about time to put it down. You've been traveling on these things for a while, and maybe that time is finally coming to a close. That's kind of the message I'm getting here with these three cards together. So yeah, just hang in there, and keep your eye open, and keep perceiving. Keep going. Almost there. All right. So we'll return these, and we'll keep this devil card now. These are all of the cardinal energies we had for the first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth. And I'll just kind of briefly go over each one again, just to kind of give you an overall idea. So my thoughts here are that the cardinal energies are kind of like, they're the initiatory energies for each set of the four quadrants. So they're kind of like thematic. So by putting them all together, it kind of gives you an overall picture of the energy for this entire reading, if you just wanted a quick breakdown of the whole thing. So we have for quadrant 1, it's all about self-discovery, personal development, individuality. And you have this Ace of Cups, which, you know, to me, that's fantastic. That is like emotional overflow. Like you're just so full of life, energy, and, you know, you're willing to express it with other people during this time. So that's fantastic. The second quadrant we had, it's all about close relationships, the relationships you did not choose. So like your family, or the people that raised you, people that have always been there in your life since the beginning. Creativity and daily routines. So yeah, this may be about walking away from maybe some routines, or maybe even some people that have been a huge part of your life for a long time. But you can see that she's content about her decision, and she's kind of walking on to these calmer waters over here, these warm, inviting waters with some friends. So it's a peaceful energy, you know, a content decision. For the third quadrant, we had the Page of Cups here. So the third quadrant is all about external relationships, the ones that you chose in your life. It's about your interactions with those people, partnerships you've developed, expanding your understanding of the world through shared experiences. So yeah, and this is really a card of communication. So I would be expecting some news, you know, either coming into your life, or you sharing some news even during this time with other people in your life. Not that you have to do that, I'm not saying that, but maybe you've been thinking about it already, and maybe the time is approaching. And then we also have this Devil card for the fourth quadrant. The fourth quadrant is all about culmination, maturity, self-actualization, collective contributions. So, like I said, this is really representative of that Capricorn energy, and Capricorn is the cardinal sign for the 10th house. It's the cardinal earth sign. So yeah, it's I think this is just kind of like archetypal. I don't think it's really trying to say that there's like any kind of like bondage happening in your life right now, or, you know, something holding you back, but more of just like a recognition that this very stable, steady energy is present at this time, and that can be really useful in, you know, like bringing things to life, making them part of your reality. So yeah, overall, this is a really beautiful time. You know, you're feeling good about yourself, moving on to calmer things in your life, or you know, walking away from things that don't contribute to this feeling about yourself. Maybe there's some communication between you and the people you've chosen to be in your life that could be, you know, contributing to this feeling as well. And then some stability just present throughout this whole time the moon is in Scorpio. So yeah, I think that's great, and I really like that. I'm glad we could end it like that. So that being said, do have some parting thoughts for this video. I want to thank you for, you know, bearing witness to this slice of reality with me here. Your attention is highly valuable, and I feel honored that you have chosen to spend it here with me. If you enjoyed this message, please like the video. If you'd like to follow the moon as it cycles through the stars with me, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you feel compelled to share something with this corner of the digital world, please leave a comment, and I will try my best to make time for it. Response not guaranteed. May the peace and love in your life blow your mind and warm your heart. Until next time.